Welcome back to the E93A rescue channel. This is going to be part 11.1 and then there's going to be part 11.2, 11.3, etc. depending on how many it takes. But the plan is to take this E93A block and build it up together over the next few parts and ultimately take it to my test rig and run it for half an hour to an hour and measure it and see the performance. So this block was one that I've rescued. It was originally had pistons in it and valves in it and covers on it, flywheel. I've stripped it all down, cleaned it all with paraffin, jet washed it all and painted it 2 or 3 times with blue high temperature engine paint. So my first check is going to be to see whether these bores are any good. So I've painted them all up with permanent marker, either black or blue. I'm going to run a honer through it and see how the honer does in terms of cleaning the inside. So this block does have a number. You can see there I've tried to highlight it and I think that's what it is, which is probably mid to late 40s. And it does have an R on it, which means it's been reconditioned. So it's a 10 horsepower block, mid to late 40s, reconditioned. And this is the honer I'm going to use on the drill, but I can't use oil with a honer because it'll just dissolve the ink. So I'm going to use bubbly water instead. Hopefully that will work. Right, let's give it a go. Okay, let's see what that's like. Number 1 cylinder there, looking pretty good. Number 2 cylinder, got some little signs of corrosion there. Number 3 cylinder, slight sign of corrosion halfway down, and then maybe some signs of slightly outer round at the top. Number 4 cylinder, little unevenness, but no signs of corrosion. So with number 2 showing the most issues, I think I'm going to measure that one, see if there's any possibility to hone some of that away. So I have some measuring tools here, and we're going to need this is 2.5 inch, which is 60 something millimeters, so we're going to need E. Internal bore E, and then a micrometer for 2 inches to 3 inches, which is this one. So measuring that bore there, just rocking it back and forth, see where it catches. Seems pretty round. And then transferring that to the micrometer. I don't know if you can see that or not very well. So measuring that, 2.525 inches plus 4 thou on the dial gives 2.529, which is 29 thou oversize, which to all intents and purposes is 30 thou. So it's actually within 1 thou of the plus 30 based on my measurements. Just by way of a check, I've set that up so it's just the same and I haven't moved it since before. And you can see there 2.529.5, so 29.5 thou over 2.5 inch. So spot on with the micrometer. As you can see here, I've got a plus 30 thou piston. Let's see if it goes in. Look at that. No rings on it, obviously, but fits fine. So the question is, could it be 40 thou? And here's a 40 thou piston. As you can see, it won't actually go in. The top bit goes in a little bit, but then the skirt, as it widens out, that won't go in. Whereas the 30 skirt goes right in. Just as a demo, there's a standard piston. I mean, that rattles around. It's definitely not that. So the conclusion is, it's a plus 30 block, bored out to plus 30 in a refurb. Bores look pretty good. Got a slight signs of corrosion in number 2 and number 3. And I'm just going to do a bit more honing, this time with oil, and see if I can clear some of that away. Number 1 cylinder, a little bit at the top there, you can still see. Number 2 cylinder, still a little patch there, but much reduced on rust corrosion. And there are a couple of vertical scratches, those ones there, just for me taking the tool out. But there are scratch there. Number 3 cylinder, some little patches there again down there, it's corrosion but much reduced. And number 4 cylinder, which is probably the best actually, followed by number 1. So in summary, based on the measurements, we've probably got about half a thou before we even get to plus 30 thou, and then the tolerance on new manufacturing is another thou, so that's 1.5 thou, and would still be in tolerance on, newly bored. And then there's also a wear tolerance of another 3 to 5 thou. So there's plenty of space to take another half a thou off, maybe even a thou off the inside of these cylinder bores using the coarse and fine honing devices. But I'm not going to do that now because it will probably build up a little bit of surface rust over the next few weeks and months. I will do that closer to the date when I'm going to put the pistons in finally. And ultimately, it's going to need a bit of a hefty old clean anyway, because obviously it's got grinding grit now in all sorts of parts. And it's going to get more grinding grit when I lap in the valves as well and clean up some of the surfaces. Okay, so that's pretty much it for this part. So in summary, I'm pretty happy with that. Plus 30, and I've got plus 30 pistons, quite a lot with rings on. So in the next part, the 11.2, I'm going to put some rings in, and let's measure the gap on the rings and see what sort of dimensions we get, and ultimately get all the pistons sized up and in there. But I think we're good enough to go with those 4 bores. They're not perfect, but they're pretty good compared with some of the other ones I've seen. And I'll see you in the next part, so like and subscribe. Thank you very much.